In this lesson, we'll learn how to add a walking bass line to a piano arrangement. A walking bass has 4 steady quarter notes per measure. For the pianist, that would be in the left hand. This type of bass first became popular in the swing arrangements of the 1930s. And even before that, we find the roots of this style in the flat 4 bass patterns of New Orleans jazz. So first, we'll take a 2-5-1 progression and add a walking bass. And then we'll add one to the standard, I Can't Give You Anything But Love. This popular song by Jimmy McHugh and Dorothy Fields was written in 1928, and it's just entered the public domain. So first, a 2-5-1 progression. We'll do this in the key of F, G minor 7, C7, F major 7, and we'll throw in a 6th chord, a secondary dominant D7 for good measure. I'll do this in 2 ways, a very basic walking bass and then one that's more melodic and interesting. So for this way, on each chord identify the root and the 5th. Then just play the root for 2 beats followed by the 5th for 2 beats in each measure. Pretty basic, but it works well to give that flat 4 feeling. Before we play it, let's enhance the chords a bit and add some nice voicings for the right hand. My voicings will always include at least the 3rd and the 7th. So this is a G minor 9th, the B flat is the 3rd, and the F is the 7th, and we'll add the A, the 9th. Here's a C13, B flat is the 7th, E is the 3rd, and we'll add a 9th, the D, and the 13th, the A. F major 9, the 3rd is A, the 7th is E, and we'll add that G as the 9th. And for D7, we'll have a flat 9. So the 3rd is F sharp, the 7th is C, and the flat 9 is E flat. We'll do the same on these next 3 chords. Okay, let's hear it. Next, we'll step it up a bit by making the line more melodic. Think of each chord as having an object tone in the bass. Generally, that's the root of the chord. And then play a line that connects the object tones. Use mostly stepwise motion. But you can also skip. If you do skip, always go from one chord tone to another chord tone. In the first measure, we'll step up scale-wise from G to C. But since we don't have quite enough notes to fill this space, we'll introduce a B natural chromatic passing tone, which is always possible when you need an extra note to fill the stepwise line. From C to F, there are plenty of notes available, so just step down. On the F chord, we'll do a little idiomatic figure where the bass jumps an octave and put a little ghost note on the 5th of the chord as we leap up. Now we can step down directly to the D root of the next chord if we use a chromatic scale. From D to G, just move down stepwise in the scale. G to C, again, use a chromatic passing tone. On the C7, let's try that octave leap again. This allows us to adjust the range of the line and then move stepwise with just enough notes to return to F. Now with these lines, you can always play them an octave lower if you want to emulate the range of the double bass. But here I'll just play as written. Let's give this one a listen. Okay, let's turn to our standard now. We're going to write a walking bass in 2 different styles, just like we did with the 2-5-1 progression. But first, let's harmonize that melody in the right hand. We'll use chord blocks, that is, groupings of notes from the chord that will follow the exact same rhythm as the melody. By doing this, it'll give the sound something like a horn section or a saxophone section. Just tuck those chord tones right up underneath the melody and try to include a 3rd and a 7th if possible. Let me play just a little of that so you can see what it sounds like. For the walking bass, try the simple way first. Just 2 roots followed by 2/5 for each chord. That second chord, G/B, means the B should be in the bass. So for that measure, B, B, and then B flat for the B flat diminished 7. Likewise for the A7/C sharp, use C sharp in the bass. And just continue root, root, 5/5, right to the end of the piece. Here, where the chords are 1 per beat, you'll just have room for 1 quarter note on each chord. Now at the end of the section, we'll break that pattern so that the left hand can come up and play the right hand in octaves. Let's give it a listen. Now I'll go back and write a more interesting walking bass. I'll start it off just like the other, root, root, 5/5, which is always a good option. And I'll do the same thing in the next measure, B, B, B flat, B flat. But when I get to the A minor 7, I'll write a more linear line. Because there aren't quite enough notes, scale-wise, to get up to the D7, I'll use a chromatic passing tone, C sharp. Stepping down from D7 to G is easy. I can just write a stepwise scale. Here I'm moving up stepwise and including a chromatic passing tone, A sharp, and I'm leaping from one chord tone of the G triad to another, from B to D. A minor 7 to D7, stepwise up with a chromatic passing tone, and for the D7 chord, notice I've got an octave leap, which is always an idiomatic gesture for a walking bass. For the G7 chord, I'm doing a combination of steps and skips, but notice I only skip between one chord tone to another chord tone. Here, the B to the D, or the D to the G. The C major 7, root, root, 5/5. The next measure, I've got that octave skip, but with a little ghost tone on the 5th, so C up to G and then up to C. And since each chord is on a quarter note, I just have one bass tone per quarter note. Root, root, 5/5. Stepwise down from A to D. And this is where I break off so that the left hand can come up and join the right hand for the melody. I'll write this the same way I did as the beginning. Here again, a combination of steps and skips. Root, root, 5/5. Stepping up. Here's the octave leap with some skips following the chords. A little chromatic descending line from the G to the E. And again, my octave leap. And again, as I've often done, an ascending scale with a chromatic passing tone. Octave leap, step up. And I'll just finish up by following the root tones of these fast-moving chords. Let's give it a listen. let's have a little fun. I'll step up the tempo and take a solo.